humility and appreciation, and with a great sense that they belong to my ancestors, especially the women in my family. So, thank you.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. All right, you had a whole day to go to your therapist. That is, if you were a Kamala Harris supporter. If you're a Trump fan, then you've been out celebrating. Well, Leroy McKenzie, which one were you?
I was a Kamala Harris supporter.
Okay, are you okay? I was getting phone calls yesterday.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
Oh, I'm great, man. I mean, people, and I get it. It was disappointing. But one of the things that I did yesterday, Donnie, was I actually belong to this organization called Remain, and I think you're familiar with them. But one of the things that Donald talked with us, he did a live, and he said, take a moment, pause, breathe, and allow yourself to be able to kind of take in what happened.
Man,
But
I
then,
wanted to fight. Being all polite, I wanted to fight.
I get that. But that's the emotional part of us. Yeah, that's the emotional part of us. And we have to allow ourselves to sit in that. Like you said, you wanted to fight. Okay, what do you do with that emotion? What are you doing? What do you do with that emotion? Allow yourself to sit in it for a minute and say, okay, how do I deal with this? And how do I move forward from this point on? With that, hey, I've been good. I've been listening to some, my positive music. I've been listening to surrounding myself with positive people, thinking, hey, what do we do? What's our next move? It's playing chess. What's our next move? What do we do? What do we have to do? How do we put ourselves in a position that once this man is in office, that what he does doesn't impact us, and we're not going to allow it to impact those that we are connected to. How do we put ourselves in that position?
Hey, Danny, you buying this?
Every man has his own story. It's okay.
This one of the people called me up yesterday. How you doing? What you doing? What you doing?
I called you first thing in the morning, But the thing about it with me is that 16 million people didn't vote this cycle. 16 million people did not vote, Johnny.
So that's
where it is, right there.
That means that our candidate did not connect with 16 million people.
Absolutely. And not only that, Donald Trump only got 3 million more people this time than he did in 2020.
Come on, Andy.
The difference was that 16 million votes that didn't cast in the Democratic way.
Andy Pierre, what you think?
Is 16 million votes, you could say 16 million votes that weren't cast. But to me, I see it as 16 million constituents that weren't talked to.
Either way, doesn't matter.
They weren't reached.
It's the same conclusion.
It is the same conclusion. But when it comes down to how I feel about the whole situation, is that one, with the people who didn't show up to vote, I'm 100% sure it's because nobody connected with them. Because that's generally the reason why voters don't come out, is nobody came and spoke to them. Nobody asked them to come out. And as far as
I don't think it's just that one reason. I don't think it's just that one reason.
It's not just that one reason, but it would not be 16 million if somebody reached out to all 16 million, right? You'd have maybe like 4, 5, 6 million that don't come out.
Well, when you look at it, Andy,
Now,
think
being
about
generous.
think about this, Andy.
Mhm.
Where in history has a person who was running for the highest office in the land only had 105 days to get themselves together?
No, she had no. She had 3 years to get
No,
herself.
I'm not talking. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. No.
Campaigning. The minute you should be campaigning, you representing the people. Individuals that go out, that step away and wait until election season to talk to the people, then they're doing themselves a disservice. But the minute you're in office, you should always be talking to constituents, representing constituents, making sure that constituents know who you are. That's on you. If people don't know who you are, that's on you. That ain't on them.
Well, one thing I'll say about
wait a minute. Can I say something real quick? And this is to the brother that just made that statement and saying 15, 16 million didn't know who you are. This woman was the vice president of the United States. How do they not know who she is? Come on, let's be real. Let's be real. Let's be real about what we're talking about.
Society.
Come on.
We are
Come
in a
on.
highly
She
disconnected
was
society.
known. She was well known.
That's the reason why
She has name recognition.
She is well known within the circle of voters. Within the people who actually showed up to vote, yes, they all knew who she was. But when it comes down to the number of voting age adults that are here in America who can vote, and we live in such a disconnected society that we can't even run campaigns the old way anymore either. You have to meet people where they're at. The way I run my text messages, it's all digital, right? Because I put a text message in your phone, I put the ad on your phone, catch you while you're sitting on the toilet. That's how people consume now. It's not about
Can I ask you something?
Going to nice rally.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Where and I thought she ran a great campaign. I saw her all over the place in different media forms. Was she not? She was where and I don't know what numbers they looked at or whatever and everything like that. She was where the majority of the people were. She had a campaign where you were just talking about where they could see they're on the phone. All of those the apps and everything like that. So come on, let's be real about that.
4 voters. They were only reaching out to 4 for 4 voters. That means you're super voters. That's where they spend their money. Everybody spends. They run their campaigns the same. Everybody runs their campaigns the same.
Okay. Since you said that, then receive this. People know Donald Trump, right? They knew Donald Trump.
He's known in pop culture.
I'm saying, people know his character. People know him completely, right? And they still. And what did they do? What did they do? They voted him back in.
They went with the evil they knew.
Yeah.
Well, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
They went with the evil they knew. I mean, you think about it.
No, here's an important point that I think we're kind of skating around. You know, the fact is that Kamala Harris, there are a lot of folks who didn't want to vote for a woman.
There you go.
They didn't want to vote for women.
That's it right there.
And they did, and then they put a sister up there. And even when you look at it from a Kamala perspective, you know, it's identity politics. And she is, how many other people you know who are Southeast Asian and Jamaican? Like a lot of people couldn't relate to her. You know,
I'm glad you said that. Now, since you mentioned Jamaican, was her father black?
Jamaican. I mean, you know, I got Jamaican.
Come on, people. Let's stop. Please, Donnie, I'm sorry, Donnie. Let's stop. Please stop. Where have you all ever questioned what y'all know that and maybe it's those some of the black people here in America that think that the only black people are here in America. Black people are all over this world. We come from all them. I just got back from England, UK, and the majority, it's a lot, and I didn't even realize this, that a lot of black people live in the UK. A lot of people that were from Africa. when we were brought here from, they didn't just stop here in the United States. They stopped in the diaspora, in Jamaica, all of those islands down there. So come on, open your minds.
My
We are
question for
more
you though,
than
how many
just
black people
Americans
you
when it
know?
comes to black. We don't
How
own
many
it.
black people? How many black people are washing their collard greens in a bathtub?
What? What does that have to do with
Exactly.
anything?
Because you don't come out here and you say some weird ass sound like somebody, whoever came up with that line for her. Nobody's doing that. It's not every black grandmother, everybody who cooks good greens. That's to him like, oh wait, maybe Trump has something. Maybe Trump is on to something when he says she's not black, because she's over here
Oh
just
my gosh.
saying what the hell ever. Like I said on the podcast a couple, what is it, last week? We were not her base. We were not who she was trying to win over. She was trying to win over the Biden people.
She was trying to win the election, man. She was trying to win everybody. It's not like she was just. You can't win an election with just one face. You just can't do it.
I understand, but a lot of the black people that I spoke to about her, they felt they.
But I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and it does appear that way. But when you went
and we
for
still voted for them, and we voted for her. It's not on us, by the way. We cannot take the blame for Kamala not getting in, because we voted for her in the 90 percentile, both men.
The gentleman that brother hit it on the head right there when he said she's a black woman. That's really what really stopped a lot of people from voting for her. Men, women, boys, and girls. Completely.
It was a matter of being
white men,
a woman.
especially white men and black men. If you said black men too, I mean, it's just a lot of people who didn't want to see a woman in that seat. Period.
There was so many. Yeah. There was more.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
Let me pull up this data.
Can I get some numbers?
Leroy, one at a time. Come on, Byron.
Give me a second.
No, the one point I was going to make here is that when we look at what actually happened, it was more about the resistance against that type of progress. Because what we're talking about is, do I feel comfortable envisioning a black woman as the leader of the free world?
That's right.
And the majority of Americans said, no, I can't envision that. Like, I don't want to accept that level of progress. So they voted against it. Mm-hmm. It sounds like everybody on this group said, you know what? I'm about that level of progress. Let's go that direction, and let's build that and build from there. So they pushed back on the progress that she was trying to introduce to America.
Can I ask a question? If Michelle Obama was running, do you think they would say the same thing? And black people that didn't go for her as well would say, I don't want that type. Could it be her? Could it be just because you're a black man?
Let him speak.
Yeah, just because you're a black man, you go for an interview and you don't get the job. Could it be that you're not qualified? Kamala Harris lost because she ran a bad campaign. You either run a good one and you win, or you run a bad one and you lose. She knew she was black before she started. She knew where the nation was when she started, and what she tried to do didn't work. It's on her. I run campaigns in Prince George's County. I'm the only person in Prince George that ever lost a campaign. I know what the system is. I know everything before me before I run. So I'm either going to get ready. I know stuff going to happen at the polls. I know all of that. So if I lose, I lose. It ain't no blame. The blame is on her. She picked her consultant. She did all that. She knew she had 100 and something days. Then don't run.
There was no better candidate, guys. There were no better candidates.
Okay, there was no better.
Or they would have chose them. And it was short notice. It's just a lot of verbals there, guys. You know that.
Short notice. She had four.
No. She wasn't. She had no intentions of running for the president of the United States before Biden freaked out or had a problem. She wasn't going to run for the president of the United States. He was just his sidekick.
She ran before. She ran against Biden.
She wasn't going to run again. She was pressured. She was pushed into that, man.
So you think when Angela also Brooks ran for U.S. Senate, it started? You don't think it started a long time before she was doing when she was county exec?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you're talking about two different levels of politics here.
No, what I'm saying is this: this woman had aspirations of being president. So everything she should have been doing, the minute she had those aspirations, she was running for office. One of the problems that a lot of candidates make when they decide they want to run for office is they're going to wait till so-called campaign season to run. If you're going to run for office and you're 4 years out, start running for the damn office.
But then you just made my case. You just made my case. She wasn't. She was put in that position.
Was always going to run for president.
I'm not talking about Kamala Harris. I'm talking about, well, Kamala Harris was put into a situation that it's not common. It wasn't a common way of running for office.
Yeah, I understand.
But she knew that before it started. It's on her.
The thing is,
if somebody gives me a job to be president of a corporation that I'm not qualified for, and I go there and I'm not prepared, that's on me. We got to start looking in the mirror and taking blame for what we do.
16 million votes, man. That's all I can say.
What are we looking at, Andy?
Can I make this? Can I make this statement to the brother? Because he wants to say that she should have been prepared. She was the vice president of the United States. President Biden had only ran one term. He had only done one term. Usually, and you say you know politics, so I'm sure you're quite aware of this. The incumbent is usually the one that runs for the next term. So her obligation she wasn't on the thinking of he wasn't going to run. I'm sure they had conversations about him running again, which is what he initially did. So her thinking wasn't, I'm going to run. It wasn't until they saw the numbers, I'm assuming the way that he was performing, that President Biden, we know that you are kind of getting up there in age. We think a better candidate would be your vice president. It would be better for you to step aside and to allow her to be able to become the candidate. She would be next in line anyway, which she probably would have ran, if not this term. She would probably have been prepared to run in 2028 because he would have been fit. He would have completed his 2 terms that he could complete as president. That's how I would see that, not her thinking, oh, I'm going to run for president, over the incumbent that's already there, which is her boss.
Leroy, the man could not complete a sentence.
I get it.
Andy, what are we looking at here?
If I were to say something about the whole thing, right? It's like I'm not the structure and how they ran their campaign strategy is we could argue it all day. Like me personally, I'm looking at it like where she lost this thing at was when she picked Walz over Shapiro. I'm like, why not? Like, if you want PA, why not get the guy who's a freaking Democrat and won the damn state?
Yeah, agreed.
Who can go into Middle America and win them over? Go into an urban area and hit them with the Shapiro Obama and win them over too.
Yeah,
like,
I agree. I agree with that.
He's a freaking certified politician. You ain't got a grandpa. He's a brawler. He'd have been in the streets.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Michael.
And so what we're looking at right now is the vote. So this is what the sex and race of the voters that voted for Kamala versus the ones that voted for Trump. And as you can clearly see, the majority of white people voted for Trump. And it's the majority of white people are not Republicans. So that tells us a lot about some of the people we rub shoulders with.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Including Latino men.
So what did you say just now? You said about the majority that we don't rub shoulders with. Is that what you said?
No, that tells us about a lot of the people that we rub shoulders with that say, "Oh, they're an ally." This, they support black. That, these white faces that want to co-opt the struggle. But meanwhile, we're looking at the majority of white people have voted for Trump. Meanwhile, the majority of white people are not Republicans.
Yeah. And that's also, even when you think in the state of Maryland, which is a blue state, I guarantee that. So I don't know the numbers, but a lot of those folks you rub hands with, especially white folks, they didn't vote for her. A lot of them, and we have to know that. We have to know that's true.
White folks vote for white folks. Black folks vote for white folks. It's very rare that white folks vote for black folks. It's very rare. But I tell you what, a black folk will definitely vote for a white person.
Yeah.
Michael Haynie, bring some wisdom into
There's another slide.
Hey, first of all, man, it's always good to be here, especially with you brothers, man. Andy, Leroy, Danny, Byron, good to see you. Ervin, of course, you and I had a great conversation. Doni, you put us all together, man. It's a new day. It's a new day, and we can have a conversation about what happened, which I hope that we have, so we can learn lessons if we need to learn lessons. But how are we going to operate, particularly when you do what I do, and I think many of you do, which is earn our own income. We only eat what we hunt. So how are we going to survive the new day? You know, having learned the mistakes. I heard Andy say the biggest mistake was Shapiro. Maybe the next biggest mistake was Obama insulting us as black men by saying what it is that we have to do. So we can look at a couple of things and say, Doni put up a statistic there that showed more black men supported Trump than have done before, but they don't carry any electoral votes. It's just a mentality that we have swung and changed our thought process in terms of being owned. So what does the half full glass look like for us as a people? And where are the opportunities? How do we embrace the situation that we find ourselves in today, particularly as men that have to hunt what we eat, right? Where's our economic opportunity that we look at yesterday and say, hey, we got stock invested and the stock market is up. So, wow, man, what can I do with that excess that helps my community? So hopefully our next conversation will be, because we can punch holes all day long as to why we're in today because of yesterday, or we can say, hey, what does tomorrow look like as a result of us collectively strategizing? And finally, we're on the same page of what it is. Because look at us all, man. Look at this picture that I see of all these significant brothers with a platform to speak to people that are listening to us to say, hey, here's what we can do. And here's how we can be better. Here's how we can support each other with some of the changes being made that may not necessarily be pointed toward us, but we're able to take opportunity unless we say, nah, man, because it comes from him. I don't want to do, I don't know about you all. I'm not thinking that way. I'm thinking, man, damn, man, I hope he does get rid of the IRS. I hope he gets rid of them agents. You know what I'm saying? For real. You know, I hope that he does put in place some benefits that I need to understand so that my business can benefit. Well, hell, because I'm here, so I might as well enjoy it.
And wait a second. Now, he's on to something now. It's important for us to think about this from the standpoint of, one, never let a crisis go to waste. Right? So we're in the crisis now, right?
I love that.
It's always something good.
Whatever the platform is that he's trying to create, okay, well, just because we're used to a certain way of doing things doesn't mean that we can't navigate and thrive under a new example, right? So we have to pay attention to the new framework that's being laid out. Now, unfortunately, he didn't outline that enough during the election for us to at least piece those things together. But we have to pay attention, you know, especially when you think about congressionally, because the one thing that concerns me a bit here is that we don't have a lot of serious people in Congress the way we used to back in the day. You know, we used to have, the Senate used to be you can identify very serious people who understood policy and were strategic and were willing to work. We don't have a lot of those people now. So we have to collectively on the ground be our own lobbyists to identify the things that we truly want, what we want out of this administration, and how do we organize and educate to actually pull it off. So if he's coming up with some new strategies for the IRS, if he's coming up with new strategies for the Department of Education and all that, how do we leverage our constituents, Black people? How do we play that game and still win? So we have to begin to think that way as we know.
Ervin, Reid, what does this mean for a Westmore?
I think it's a great thing for Westmore.
Yeah.
Because in 4 years, he would have done and served enough time as governor and hopefully done some great things as governor.
Yeah.
But I do believe, just to get back to a point, that Wes Moore is going to use this term as governor to become president.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
He's campaigning right now for president. Every job you have, you're going to the next job. So the fact that Kamala only had 100-something days, if she was stupid enough to think that I'm going to start my campaign, the minute she hit that White House is when she should have started looking at the presidency. And we as African Americans need to start to understand that we got a plan for the future. And we also have to look in the mirror and say to ourselves, if things don't get done, then it's on us. Like Mike said, everybody, if I don't eat, that's on me. I can say, well, they didn't do this. Nah, that's on me. When I run a campaign, I run an election, I got a dumbass candidate and I stick with them and they lose, that's on me. I knew they were a dumbass candidate. I might have found out, yeah. So first and foremost, Kamala lost the election on her. That's it. I don't care who. She hired consultants. She did that. Take responsibility. As a salesman, I spent 10 years in corporate sales. And the one thing I had to learn was if I didn't make my budget, that was on me. Now, things may have happened. My number one client, which was 90% of my account, could have gone out of business, but I ain't make it. So that's on me. Then we can look at the reason. So we need to look in the mirror as Black people and stop talking about how the white supremacy this, white supremacy that, and this, that, and the other. When we put people in office who don't look after us. And we got to vote one man, one vote. Great system. So if things aren't happening for us, it's on us. It ain't on nobody else. Now, we got forces and things like that we're going to have to contend with, but we know what the forces are when we start. But no, I think it's great for Wes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a home run for Wes. I hate to say it, but in politics, again, never let a crisis go to waste. To your point, Brother Reid, Wes has been running for president before he started running for governor. Literally, he has been making himself known to the national platform, to the national public, to say, this is somebody we could look at him, look how he communicates, look at him touch on the issues. And if you follow his social media, every day he's pumping out content that makes you feel a little bit more confident in his ability. You start following his policies. And now the Democratic Party is completely up for grabs at this point. Who's our next leader? Who's going to take this party and, who can defeat Trump and end the Trump in the MAGA world? This is wide open for West.
It wasn't Kamala. It really is about race. This whole election was all about race. Donald Trump is about race. And that's what he's showing. He's showing completely that race dominates the world. It dominates the United States government, the United States as a whole. It's race. And that's what Donald Trump is all about, making sure that this white supremacy thing is at front. He's the leader. He's the spokesperson. He's the KKK guy with a suit and tie on. He says things that white folks think about but are afraid to say because they may lose their careers and their money. Donald Trump came in there that way, and he has solidified himself in the Republican. He has changed the Republican Party, and he made it his party.
Yes, sir. Video.
To me,
there's a video I would like you guys to see.
The whole world. Hang on a second, Andy. To me, Mr. Blunt, the whole world's about race. It's just that we've been hoodwinked to believe that it's not. Right. So Israel's about their race and culture. Saudi Arabia is about theirs. The various countries in Africa is about theirs. We've been hoodwinked to believe that, this kumbaya melting pot was intended for us to have a peace, when really it's all about race everywhere. Everyone's looking to protect their culture, their history, their heritage through race, man. This world is segregated except to what we expect in America. Exactly. The world is segregated in terms of their economies all over. That's how they thrive, and they figure out how to get along. Now, the Palestinians and Jews, because of land, have to figure that out. And I think that The Jews want to, but it's all about segregation. It's all about race.
I want to know how it is you voted for Donald
you.
Trump when you're so into facts, because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based in propaganda and emotion.
I voted for Donald Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the dispossession of whites in the United States. If he were to deport all illegal immigrants, if he were to think very hard about letting in any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority.
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
I grew up in this country as a minority, as the children of immigrants. I was their first child born in America. The children of immigrants. I was their first child born in America. And while I didn't have much possession or didn't much control, I really enjoyed myself. And I think that if you ask a lot of Americans, they would say that I had a lot to offer this country. You know, according to you, I guess I would be perpetuating the dispossession of white America.
That is true. That is true.
Would you say that you wouldn't want me in this country?
At some point, when my ancestors built this nation, they did not build it with the intention of giving it away to Mexicans or Chinese or Haitians or to anyone else.
Do you consider, you keep saying your ancestors built this country, you consider that a fact?
Who else built it?
Black people, Native Americans, Chinese people who came and built the railroads.
Do you think none of that could have been
Italian?
There it is.
Doni,
That was perfect.
can I address that? I've learned what that gentleman guy just said there. I learned back in college from Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. If you haven't heard her name, look her up. She has a book called The ISIS Papers. It's called The Cress Theory of Color Confrontation. The system of racism is grounded in everything that guy just said there. The dispossession of white people and them having control over this country and the world. They only make up one tenth. They make up 1/10 of the world population. So how is it that 1/10 of the population of this world controls the majority of this world? And their fear is losing that control that they have. So everything that is happening is a direct result of what that gentleman just said right there.
That's right. Race. It's race and power. You know, the lessons that they learned from slavery, bringing folks into the United States as slaves, that's their footprint. That's something that they stand on, and they can't get away from that. That's how they, got the power. So they can't lose
Don't
it.
respect.
Yeah.
Right. And they also don't respect the work that the slaves did when they came here. To say with all that face and have the audacity to be like, who else built it? You didn't build it.
We could have done it. What? And that's why I'm sorry. That's why Trump talks. Look how he talked to Kamala. Look how he talked to her. Man, oh man, oh man. That's so disrespectful.
Because they don't want to see us as humans.
Well, the other thing is, I see why a lot of white women voted against Kamala, because they were so gung-ho to get Hillary Clinton, and Trump mopped the floor with Hillary Clinton. And so now with Kamala, they wasn't going to support Kamala. Even though Kamala was I feel like I do feel like she should have played more to the Black community. Beyond the whole HU thing. All right, sure, you went to a historically Black college. Okay, you've got the Ivy League vote, But what about them folks on the streets? What about the people who, when they go to work, they come home, they ain't got time to watch you on TV?
Yeah.
What are you saying to them? What are you saying to split ticket voters? What do you?
If I was her, I'm with you, man. I would have went all in on black people. Black people run the Democratic Party in terms that black folks is the base of the Democratic Party. I just would have gone all in and said, let's just beef up that turnout, call it a day. Because again, I think it's important for black people to recognize that we do have that level of political power. We just don't recognize it. We just don't know what to do with it. And she should have gone all in on black folks.
But Donnie, can you put the statistics back up that you showed the breakdown? She had the black vote. They overwhelmingly. She had 92% of black women voted for her. 78% of black men voted for her. We were a lot.
She didn't have the white vote. That was the only vote she ain't have.
No, I would say
correct. Exactly.
Those numbers, brother McKenzie, those numbers are going in the wrong direction. If you go back to the Obama years, those numbers were higher. So she needs to go further toward 100% versus it go the other direction. I mean, again, we vote Democrat, but the objective is how to increase the black vote. That's the base of this whole thing.
We lost all this.
The thing was though, how did she made this, she was talking about women's rights and all of this, that, and the other, and nobody gives a damn. Sorry, not to say nobody gives a damn about it, but right now we want to know about the economy.
You said it.
We were there, like when she should have been talking about the economy. She needed to be talking about pocketbook issues. She needed to be talking about infrastructure spending so we can get more jobs. She needed to be talking about stuff like that, the hard stuff.
Well, when she said, that,
how could she talk about what she doesn't know?
Yeah.
How could she talk about what she doesn't know? How could she implore black men, as Obama did, to vote for her, right? And say that it was an obligation, a duty to vote for us. And, we're intelligent guys, educated highly. There's a correlation between non-educated white men voting for Trump and the non-educated white black men that voted for Trump. So all of a sudden you're saying to me as a black man, I need to vote for you as a black woman. And then you walk in the White House with a white man. So from a perception perspective, that is a perception oxymoron, M-O-R-O-N, right? That was a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to Ervin Reid's point, right?
That's right.
He asked a very clear question. If it was Michelle Obama, would the turnout have been the same? Michelle is a better candidate. Right?
She's a better candidate
because of that.
Michelle got a black husband.
Exactly, because of that perception, right? We got to also remember, man. I don't know the real percentage numbers here, but the majority of voters are surface level voters. They don't understand any policy. They don't understand any legislation. They will vote against their own best interest. They vote on perception
all the time.
And so it's identity politics, right? Because that's surface level stuff. What do I see? Ooh, do you make me feel good? Do you look like me? Do we talk the same? Do you come from my neighborhood? That's identity politics. And if I look, Barack Obama wouldn't have become the president if it wasn't for Michelle. We saw Michelle, and that sister came from the South Side. Like, man, that's what? That's us. She's one of us. So that's where it really comes down.
And white men drooled over her, dreamed of her, and said, wow, if I could have her, right? And so they're like, yeah, she gets my vote just because of the possibilities. I know it's sex appeal, man. Sex sells, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They had the total package. When
Obama popped out and when everybody realized that he had the black wife, I feel like that was when he won all the church ladies.
It was
over. It's like black wife, black kids, no side chicks. And so what was the next thing? Oh well, wait, maybe he might be a little half white from on his mother's side. Let's try to get the white people in there, so they don't feel left out. He doesn't, because Obama didn't need to win the white vote. He just needed to take a few percentage points off the board.
That's right.
Let's get to this point of Latino men. What is it about Latino men that prevented them from voting for Kamala Harris?
Well,
was it Donald Trump? Was it Donald Trump's machismo?
No, I think it
Probably a
had to
little bit
do
of racism and a
with
lot of
them.
sexism. Hmm?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Yeah, because here you have that the Latino men. Here's a man, Donald Trump, or male Donald Trump, who insulted the Latino community, and they still, the Latino men, voted for this man. What else is that? Blatantly
You're looking at the
insulted them.
Latinos are not in a silo though, because
They're
they
not.
all hate each other. They
That's
hate
right.
each other. The Cubans hate the Mexicans.
Yeah,
Then they hate the Puerto
Yeah.
Ricans, and like they all hate each other. Like
that's right. That's right.
and so
But you
when we
know,
look at it, we like, oh, how can Latino men? Because they hate each other.
Like, which Latino group you're talking about? Like, I mean, it's
Right.
all, and they will point the finger and say exactly like, yeah, it is trash in Puerto Rico. Because they say, oh, I'm from Ecuador, so they're not talking about me. Like, they don't. It's not. You can't even think about that demographic as a voting bloc because it's so diverse.
And Haiti's considered a Latino country, and they hate us.
Yeah.
you know, let's talk about the swing states. Donald Trump won every swing state. Every swing state.
Yeah.
Michael Haynie, you're uncharacteristically quiet.
Hey, because I'm just taking it in, man. I mean, look who we have on this panel. I've gotten a couple of good points in as Andy and Leroy and Ervin, man. When you get a consensus such as this, although it would be great that we could collaborate later and come out with a plan. Someone mentioned that nothing was really defined for us, right? But that's the beauty of it, because maybe we could collaborate and define what we feel could be a benefit, take it as a package collectively, and say, hey, this is what it is that would be good if you guys can help us with, right? So we can define a lot of things. And so at some point we have to change the conversation and the tenure for survivability. Someone mentioned West. You know, maybe West quietly was hoping that Kamala wasn't going to win anyway. You know, did he vote for her? Maybe, I don't know.
So let's go to that.
You know, there's a lot of things, man, that happened strangely on Tuesday that we sitting here talking about on Thursday.
So some time ago, I mentioned about the O'Malley syndrome. When O'Malley was mayor, he was looking at governor. When he was governor, he was looking at president. Yeah. When you're constantly looking down the road, Ervin, do you ever master where you are? When we think of William Donald Schaefer, he was a Maryland politician who dedicated his political career to bettering Baltimore, to bettering Maryland. Is it possible that Westmore is suffering, unfortunately, from the O'Malley syndrome?
I guess it depends on what you mean by master. To me, Wes he's brilliant. He did something that a lot of people missed. When Wes pardoned sent out those 133 pardons or whatever it was, that gave him credibility with a population that the Democratic Party doesn't have.
That's right.
And Danny just said the swing states. I've been telling Black people for the last 30 years, the best thing ever happened to us was the Electoral College. Dude, you need Michigan. What do you need? Detroit. You turn Detroit out, you get Michigan. You have no shot in hell without it. You want Pennsylvania, you need Philadelphia. Cleveland, Ohio, and Pittsburgh.
And you need to spend money. You need to spend the money there.
Right.
And you can't just be bullying the party to do the stuff just because. You got to spend money. You got to pay the operators that operate down there. Like, because what they did in Philly, of course, Philly didn't turn out for you. The hell? Excuse me.
No. But Andy, what you also have to do, and I blame it more on the Black middle class than anyone else. I never hear anybody talk about what Perrin Mitchell called the Black underclass. Those 133 people, 53 people, whatever the number was, that was the number of pardons. Now those people can vote. Marienburg, I ran a campaign in DC, Ward 7. Ward 7, the second poorest ward, is east of the river, there too. And when Marienburg is not on the ballot, about 11,000 people vote in Ward 7. When Marion is on the ballot, either for council member, because he lived there at one point, or for mayor, 20,000 people come out. So there are about 9,000 to 10,000 people that are only coming out for Marion. And so until we realize as a political strategy for Black people, the first thing we need to do is to figure out how we get these people on rolls. One of the things, this is whole incarceration and felonies can't vote. That was orchestrated. Get the Black vote. Let's kill the Black vote. And we allowed it, and we go along with everything. But I hear nobody ever talking about those people out there that we need to bring back in. Then we control what's going on. We just, I mean,
fall within target demographics. The target demographics is pretty, like, it's very simplistic the way that the targeting is done. Are you, have you voted in the last 4 elections?
Right.
Yes or no?
Right.
No, we're not spending any money in connecting with you. Yes, we're gonna annoy the hell out of you. And then they're getting the same, but everybody's targeting the same group of people. And we're looking at it, we're like, oh, why is the voter turnout so low? Why is this, that, and the other? I can't even say for sure, for certain that everybody even know this is an election going on, because we live in our own little bubbles.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, being out there, you know, doing what I do on the Central Committee, and we all out in all the districts in the state. And when you get there, it's like, okay, where are the people? Where are the folks out here passing out this literature? Where are the elected officials who have a database? Where are their people at? Where's Angela? Angela won, phenomenal, happy, but she didn't have people out. I was all over the place, and it was like a ghost town. And I know it's a different way of voting now because of mail-in ballots, early voting, and so forth. But I mean, just the whole voting atmosphere has changed dramatically, and it's really a bad sight to see. It really was. Where are the young people out there like they should be? You know,
listen, 11 years ago when I first came in the game, it was a party at the ballot boxes, man. On election day, early voting week, it was fun to be out there. Everybody was out there. We were throwing the football around, playing music. It was a good time.
Yep.
I don't know what happened. I rode around to a few election sites too. I even went down to Laurel. You know what I'm saying? And
it was like it wasn't. People weren't even into it. It was like
no
what?
excitement.
Listen, you're hitting the nail on the head. That's why I always like when Ervin Reid is on here, because he highlights the importance of talking about the Black demographics. And so you got the Black middle class and all the stuff that they do. And Andy Pierre just highlighted the fact that they keep asking the same group of people who've been voting. These folks are gonna vote. So go focus on the demographic who may, if they knew about what was going on, they would vote. But you're talking about the demographic that Ervin Reid is talking about. There are the folks the working class folks who are, if they were going to vote, they would more than likely vote for you. So what are you doing about that demographic? Now, I mean, and also you look at the education. We look at these young Black students at these colleges. They're busy. They're studying. They're at school. When I was at Tuskegee, Jesse Jackson came and registered us to vote.
Yep.
They focused on, how many of you have never voted? Raise your hand. All right, meet with us right outside. We got registered to vote. Like being able to be on the ground, having these celebrities come and I can talk about that 25 years later because it was an impactful experience to have Jesse Jackson. I can tell for the rest of my life, I got registered to vote because Jesse Jackson came to my school. What type of ground game it's all about being able to get the Black vote out. And you have to identify the demographics of folks who aren't voting right now, have never voted. How do we get them out?
Does Westmore get reelected?
You can hire me. I'll get you.
Yeah, I think he does, Donnie. I think he gets reelected. There's no doubt about it. That he's, first of all, party politics dictate that no one in the Maryland State Party is going to put anybody up against him, right? So he's going to be backed by the Democratic Party for the state. So he's the incumbent. So that's the way it works. So no one's going to run against him.
Right.
And then there's a national part that's going to be implied in Maryland now, because as it was said earlier, this guy may be the next guy up as a potential leader for national politics, right? So there's certain certainties that we'll see with his next campaign. And so I definitely think it's just a matter of that lieutenant governor, do we need to begin to look at, well, what does that mean? Is this the person that's next in line? If he was to leave
I thought Brooke Learman was next in line.
Well, no, but the lieutenant governor's slot, and when's the last time we've had a lieutenant governor?
Never.
Never. That's right.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy, we know what Anthony did.
The worst.
Yeah. So Brooke Learman, absolutely, I believe, will be the first potential woman governor of the state of Maryland. So we got to look ahead, man. We got to, like someone said earlier, we got to start looking 5, 6, 10 years out in terms of what our situation looks like. But Wes is a shoo-in for a second term, man.
I wouldn't be surprised.
For a while. Are the Republicans done in Maryland for a while?
I wouldn't be surprised if they run Hogan against
He can't.
West.
He can't.
Nah.
He can't run?
No.
But then they're definitely done then.
Yeah, he's done.
But you gotta remember, there's another. Isn't what's the other senator's name?
Van Hollen.
Van Hollen. Isn't his seat up next in 2 years?
No, it's not term limited.
No, up for re-election.
Yeah, his seat is, but that Maryland politics. To your question, Donnie, my belief is that the Republican Party is not done. The Democratic Party is not done, but what you see is a new flavor of purple, truly, in the state of Maryland. To me, Maryland has the capacity to be truly purplish, right? Because those white Baltimore County, Northern Baltimore County folks really make a determination, to me, in terms of the Senate seats. If they had not supported Angela, I don't think Angela would have gotten in, because it really wasn't that much of a disparity to what the populist Democratic Party's hold is on Maryland. I think we've got a purplish potential state, and who's going to emerge from the Republican Party as an opportunity? Maybe a Democrat might be smart to say, let me be purplish. Let me be more Hoganish. Maybe it's a black person that kind of looks at it and leverages the fact that Maryland can be purplish and be strategically really good purplish, especially after what we've seen on the national front. I'm interested.
Here's what we know, though, is that there's enough black people that stay home from an election to flip any of the seats in any districts, well, not any district, but the black districts. Well, statewide, I should say, because if you look at the percentage of blacks that are registered to vote that turn out versus the percentage of everybody else together that flipped the election, if we get our turnout percentage up, we could change the face of this of the Senate, Congress, all of that.
Right.
I mean,
where are you talking about? Where are you talking about changing? Because in Maryland, we already are where we want to be anyway, aren't we? So where are you talking about?
Nationally,
we are definitely not. We are where the percentages that were being reported is based off of the people who are active voters.
I mean, but we got black people in charge just about everywhere that we possibly can. The only thing we have to do is take Johnny O's seat in the county and give it to Charles Sidnor, right? Because we know Julian Jones may not be the person. I figured Danny would get a response, and I'm gonna shut up now because I've started something.
Wait, to answer your question, better.
Hold up, Andy, hold up. Actually, Adrian Jones's brother is vying for that seat.
It's a profile of folks. The list is that long, guys. It's that long. But I'll tell you, I'm gonna give you a real hint, a real quick hint.
Will Johnny O remember
Stephanie Cosmire? Stephanie Cosmire. That's the name.
Will Johnny O remember that black people got him elected?
Absolutely not.
So here's what I'm trying to say, though. when it comes down to the black people that we have elected right now, a lot of them had to pander to so many white people in order to get in there. And so they feel more beholden to them because our numbers, our turnout numbers in the 4-for-4 range ain't as high as theirs, which is okay. But we have a lot more cash of of voters that can swing an election. We have a lot more people who stayed at home. We had a lot more people who couldn't get to the polling station than they do. So if we turn out are disenfranchised.
Hey, Andy, if you ask Ervin Reid, pandering has to be part of the black politician's strategy. And that's never going to change. You know, I believe, and Ervin, it'd be good to hear what you said, but isn't pandering because we don't own anything? We don't own any land in these metropolises where land is critical and money's critical. We don't own these things. We always have to pander to special interests. It's just part of a strategy we have to have.
Well, Mike, I said that our elected officials do pander, but I don't think they need to pander. When I started a campaign in Prince George's County, which is 500 square miles, almost 1 million people, I started 2 years out. I'm out there in the freezing weather. I work somewhere between 12 to 14 hours a day, at least 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. If you can build an organization and hit the streets, it supersedes money. If I knock on your door, I don't give a damn how many times you're mailing. They will remember I knocked on your door. But to knock on your door, you need people to get out and to work. Now, statewide, you can't do it. Yeah, but in Prince George's County, you give me a real candidate with a heck of a database in 2 years, and I'm gonna win the damn election. I don't care who you are, as long as
was Angela also Brooks a pandler?
No, when Angela also Brooks ran, she ran against the establishment. No one was returning Angela also Brooks' calls when I ran her first election. No one was returning her calls.
Okay.
If you look at her finance report, the names that normally appear when she first ran, they weren't on her finance report. She had her Duke connection. She had people that she knew, she grew up with. She had her own people. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Ervin, who was the next county executive for Prince George's?
Good question.
Well, it's going to be Calvin Hawkins.
Calvin Hawkins?
I just heard that this morning. So you don't think Jolene or what's her name again? Aisha?
No, I think all three of them are formidable candidates. And at this point, I think if the election were held today, I think Aisha would win. I think she has more name recognition.
Really?
And
wow.
But
with all three of them, whoever gets the 33 wins, 33%.
Did her and Angela shore things up, man? Or are they still kind of apart? Did she ever come back and support Angela for her run once she beat Trone?
That being Aisha?
Yeah. Did her and Angela, make up?
I don't know if I would use the word makeup. Angela and Aisha always had a interesting relationship. And Aisha supported Mark Spencer when she first ran for state's attorney. And then Aisha, so there never was any love between them. But being good politicians that they both are, they kept that to themselves. But no, and Aisha came in with the Democratic Party and did what she had to do. So I mean, obviously, if Angela were to endorse somebody, that person wins. That's just the bottom line. She's that
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I don't think she would endorse Aisha because Aisha did something terrible, man. She did. Aisha needs to be punished, man, for what she did.
Yeah.
Question. In Prince George's County, the special election to replace Jolene Ivey.
Right.
Who do you like in there?
I have no idea who's running.
Hey, Mike, how you gonna say Aisha needs to be punished? I mean, who are you to say she needs to be punished?
I am
service in the state of Maryland. Long before Angela became county executive.
I am, and I feel as though my and saying my perspective that Aisha and what she did and taped that commercial.
What did she do, Michael Haynie?
Well, my opinion only, right? I'm not speaking for any demographics. I just didn't feel during the primary election for U.S. Senate that she had to go that aggressive as a elected official and attack the credibility. It's one thing to say I support someone. It's another thing to attack the credibility of a candidate, and particularly us as Black people. We have to be very careful. Someone said this to me after the show I did for you last week, and I listened to what they said about something that I said, right? May not necessarily agree, but I at least got to put it on the shelf. But you got to, there's a way that we have to do business with each other, even when we disagree. And I think that the way that she went after Angela during the primary was, was beyond disappointing. Supporting David Trone was one thing, but attacking the credibility and integrity of Angela was absolutely out of line. And if Angela had done the same thing to Aisha, it would have been out of line for Angela to do it as well. So I that I'll never forgive Aisha for. And I hope Calvin Hawkins gets his act together, because he has an amazing story and would be an amazing leader that's inspirational for a lot of people. I hope he gets his act together in terms of his politics to be potentially the next county exec.
Any burning desires before we close out today's show? Leroy?
I think brother Mike Haynie made a great point earlier when he said, where do we go from here? We need to come together, and we need to have a plan for not just individually what we're going to do, but collectively what are we going to do, and what the next 4 years looks like for us as a community. And when we can do that, I think we rise above anything that might happen or could happen to us as the community, and we come out of it stronger.
Well, personally, I'd like to hear more attention put on Black business. I despise the term minority business enterprise because we get lost in the sauce. Black business, you got more Black elected officials, a strong Black caucus, stronger than just about anywhere in the country. Black business, from the airport to the Eastern Shore to the Key Bridge. We brought on Captain Pegues, who's one of the only Black tugboat captains in the United States. Black business, Baltimore City, Black business, Baltimore County, Black business. Also, Prince George's County and Baltimore City are in a race, a perpetual race for the bottom in terms of public education. And Maryland has a high record of recidivism when it comes to mass incarceration. So we'd love to see those three issues put on the forefront. Andy, your final thoughts before we go.
Actually, my final thoughts is right to Ervin, Mr. Reid. From what I'm hearing, District 5 running to the people who are showing interest in replacing Jolene Ivey is Mayor Casey Munyene, Ryan Middleton, and Shayla, I think Stafford is her last name.
Yeah.
I think she's on the school board or something.
Yeah,
but those are the three big names.
What's your question or comment?
I would put Shayla. If I had to bet, I'm with Shayla hands down. They didn't close.
Okay.
Danny Blount, final thought.
Well, let's keep an eye on the county executive seat race for the vacancy.
It's a vote. 7 white men voted.
Yes. So keep an eye on that. Johnny O.
The white girl gonna win.
Pardon me?
You already said the white woman's gonna win.
Yeah, that's the hand pick for Johnny O. But Johnny's gone.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah, bye, Johnny.
Gentlemen, Ervin, Reid, Michael Haynie, Dr. McKenzie, Danny Blount, Andy Pierre, you are appreciated. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Good morning, world.
You guys take it easy, man. It's been great.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, guys.